Professor Shastri, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, the Chief Minister's resignation midterm, electing another person to that particular top post, it all reminds me of what happened the last time B.S. Yediyurappa was asked to resign as the Chief Minister. Is it similar? Do you see any difference this time around?
The fact that he has resigned is similar, but I think that's the only thing that is similar for me. Everything else I think is different. The political context is different. The nature of the BJP is different. The political situation as it holds out now is different. I think we need to, to contextualize what has happened, I think we need to keep in mind that when Karnataka went in for the 2018 elections, nearly 1 year before that, Mr. Yediyurappa was nominated as the chief ministerial candidate of the BJP. The BJP knew then that by the time the 2000 election happens, and if the BJP wins and he becomes chief minister, he already would be 75 plus by then. So it's not that they did not know it. So it was a conscious decision to put him in the leadership position, because they believed that his presence as the leader was important to be able to do well in that election. So then you had the third time Yediyurappa becomes chief minister, very short, and then goes out, comes back for the fourth term. Now, I would argue right from day one of the fourth term, it was quite clear that this would be a transition term. It would not be a long term. Various reasons. He had limited choice in terms of who should be his ministerial colleagues. He had limited choice in terms of what portfolios they should have. He had limited choice in terms of who should represent the party in the Rajya Sabha, series of things. So I think over time, what happened is Mr. Yediyurappa himself possibly realized that the writing on the wall is that somewhere during the term, I would need to make way for somebody else. I personally believe that an element of political fatigue had set in. And unlike other states of India where the BJP could change leaderships very quickly, like in Uttarakhand or elsewhere, it was a little difficult in Karnataka because of this factor, the fact that he had been there as a major figure in the party. And also memories of 9 years back as to when you eased him out last time, he rebelled and left. So you had to smooth out these surfaces so that any transition does not result in any collateral damage. And that's why it took so long. And I think it could not go beyond this, because you had to give a new leader some time to settle down before the next elections. And if you continued Mr. Yediyurappa till the next elections, he would be 80 by then. So I think the BJP leadership realized that this was the time to take the decision. And they have been working in it obviously for quite some time for this to actually happen now.
You spoke about a fatigue setting in. That brings me to my next question. Yesterday, while congratulating the newly sworn in chief minister, we saw the senior leaders of the BJP, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, putting out a word of gratitude to Mr. B.S. Yediyurappa as well for the kind of work he's done for the party, for all the times that he's led from the front. Whether it is Mr. Amit Shah, whether it was Mr. J.P. Nadda, they were very clear on thanking Mr. B.S. Yediyurappa. Should one read this as, a probable attempt to direct him towards the BJP's famous or infamous Margdarshak Mandal? Is this the end of active politics for B.S. Yediyurappa?
I think the acknowledgements that you saw yesterday when the changeover of power happened, I would believe that it was a sincere acknowledgement of the work that he has done. I think there's no shadow of doubt that he has had an interesting and important contribution to the party. Let's remember that Mr. Bommai, before going up to the stage to be sworn in, he first took the blessings of Mr. Yediyurappa and went up. So I think there is a lot of genuineness in the compliments that were given for the good work that was done. Does it mean Margdarshak Mandal? No. If you read Mr. Yediyurappa's own statements, he says, I'm relinquishing chief ministership, I'm not retiring from politics. So he's very clearly going to be around. It's very clear he did not favor any gubernatorial appointment because he did not want to be away from the state. So I think he has made it very clear that he is around. And if you listen to the statement that Mr. Bommai made soon after he was elected as the BJP Parliament Legislature Party leader, he made the point that Yediyurappa ji will still be there to guide the government and the party. He said he will be a mentor for the government and the party. He can be wished away as a factor. He will be very much a factor.
So elections in Karnataka are not very far away, just 21 months, and that's nothing in strategizing the election campaign. More important is the next Lok Sabha election after Karnataka's assembly election. How do you see these decisions making a difference, making an impact on the upcoming elections for the BJP?
Anusha, this is an important point. I think the fact that the BJP central leadership wanted this process to be very smooth is one of the issues which keeps in mind the next two elections, which are due 2 years from now. Number two, I think even the choice of the successor to Mr. Yediyurappa is a reflection of that. Much against the popular belief that Mr. Bommai was Mr. Yediyurappa's man, I have a little different take. I think primarily Mr. Bommai was the choice of the central leadership, which was accepted by Mr. Yediyurappa. So I think Yediyurappa's concurrence was the secondary factor. The primary factor was the fact that he is the chosen nominee of the central leadership of the party. Also remember, the base of the BJP or the strength of the BJP lies in Northern Karnataka. So you have made a leader from Northern Karnataka, an aspiration that was there for quite some time. Thirdly, you have made a Lingayat leader as the chief minister. So assuaging that sentiment that a Lingayat leader has resigned and what happens to the support to that community and all that. So that factor has also been taken care of. And I think in a very clever way, also the former chief minister in some ways has been checkmated. Because when you have made another Lingayat as the chief minister, now over time, I don't know if the negotiations involved taking care of the interests of the former chief minister's family, and now you can say there is a prominent Lingayat leader in the chief ministership. It's difficult to give another prominent Lingayat leader any other important position. So it allows a little more, it gives a few more bargaining chips for the central leadership of the party. Finally, I think the BJP realizes that in the next 2 years, if you have to have a chance to come back to power, you must demonstrate a visible governance record. Some would argue that governance took a little backseat in the first 2 years because of the infighting and COVID-19, all that. And I think the view is that the new chief minister's administrative skills are quite visible. The way he handled the water resources portfolio and home portfolio. People believe he is a person who is a leader who gets the work done. So that's what they're hoping for, possibly, that the governance image of the government would improve. And also let's remember that Mr. Bommai had his political baptism, if you may, under the leadership of people like Ramakrishna Hegde, Deve Gowda, and his own father, Mr. Bommai. So he's able to cross across the aisle and get support. And I think that's very critical for the BJP at this stage, where a large chunk of its legislature party consists of people who have joined the party of late. So to be able to reach out to all segments, I think that's again a role that Mr. Bommai can very effectively play.
Speaking about the elections that are yet to come in Karnataka and for the Lok Sabha, etc. The change of leadership, do you see that changing the BJP's poll strategy in Karnataka for at least in the last 2 decades? B.S. Yediyurappa has been a huge vote winner for the BJP before the Modi factor kicked in. At least now, even now, the local leaders of the BJP believe that you need a B.S. Yediyurappa to win votes as much as you need a Modi to create that appeal. Is that going to change in the next election? Is it going to be primarily the Modi factor and the BJP's ideological, appeal instead of a local mass leader?
Anusha, I've always believed that at least in the last decade, there is a clear different trajectory for a state assembly elections and a Lok Sabha election. And I'm not just talking of Karnataka. I'm talking across the country. the factors which influence a state assembly election and the factors which influence a national election are very different. In Karnataka, there is sufficient evidence to prove that both in 2014 and 19, the good performance of the BJP was very much linked to the leadership of the Prime Minister. There's no doubt about that. And it's also important to indicate that at the state assembly elections, be it 2013 and be it 2018, local factors, state factors played a role in the type of electoral result you had. So while the Modi factor or the central leadership factor will be critical in the Lok Sabha election, in the assembly election, I think there is very much going to be the local factor, governance at the state level, all those factors will play a role. And that's the reason I think they have given enough time to the new chief minister to be able to settle in and to be able to leave a stamp of his political leadership in the state. Whether it happens or not is something to be keenly watched and seen. But I think the intention at least is to allow the new chief minister the time to settle down and to be able to ensure that his impact, his imprint is there in terms of the way the government functions. Whether it happens, that's a totally different question.
My last question to you, while we are discussing so keenly about the BJP, its new chief minister, what is the thinking behind it? I want to understand, what does the opposition take away from this scenario? Does the opposition look at this as an opportunity? The Congress seems to be very kicked. They are very positive. The former Chief Minister, Mr. Siddaramaiah, has been insisting, even today in a press conference, he spoke about how the Congress is confident of coming back to power. This change of leadership at the state level for the BJP, at least on the government front, is that an opportunity for the opposition to be seized?
Let's remember that in Karnataka since 1985, a ruling party has never come back to power. After 1985, the ruling party has never come back to power. Now, if the Congress and JDS are going to sit back and hope that that cycle will happen, let's remember that in states, the cycle has been overturned also, like in the case of Kerala. So I think it's important that the Congress and the JDS have a clear plan as they go into the election if they have to challenge the BJP. I think the Congress needs to get its own house in order first. And this whole debate that they've had on who should be their chief ministerial candidate, I think the question of a chief ministerial candidate comes when you are in a situation of winning an election. And I think so. I don't know if you're putting the cart before the horse in that sense. I think the Congress needs to get its house in order first, both at the state level and at the national level, because I think they are connected. And unless that happens, it would be very difficult for the Congress to simply hope on a anti-incumbency and the fact that the Karnataka voter always rotates the ruling party. I would not go by that factor alone. So I would believe that there is the fight is still on, the fight is still open, but will the Congress and the JDS be able to capitalize and present a viable alternative? That's the important question.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Shastri, for talking to the New Indian Express.